to mind when you think of text messaging?
More importantly, have you ever sent a booty call text? Or have you ever ended a relationship over text message? Why don't you take a look at this?
Text messaging has become one of the most widely used mediums for social interactions. Currently, 72% of mobile phone users are frequent text messengers. This equates to over 1.9 billion people worldwide. The average text messenger in North America, age 18 to 24, sends and receives over 50 text messages a day. With such astounding numbers, it begs the question, how do these text messages affect our relationships?
Unsurprisingly, there are traditional views of media that take a more pessimistic approach when it comes to text messaging. For example, Joy Van Byrne and her colleagues talk about media richness theory that suggests that rich media outlets such as TV have the ability to convey emotionally sensitive and complex messages, whereas lean forms like text messaging can only communicate simple and complicated messages. As well, we put together a bit of information that other researchers have found that all have to do with the pessimistic view of texting.
However, these traditional approaches tend to drastically underestimate text messages' ability to convey messages and maintain relationships. There have been a number of studies that have been done to prove just that, and here are some interesting examples that we found.
After looking at a huge amount of research on this topic, we decided to do a little bit of our own research and interview students from the University of Ottawa on how they felt text messaging was affecting their relationships. So after gathering this evidence, we came up with this theory. We propose that text messaging is an effective way to maintain and strengthen romantic relationships for serious couples. However, it can be damaging to those using it in the first stages of developing a romantic relationship.
How do you primarily use text messages? Like to keep in touch with people?
Yeah. I speak to my mom a lot. She lives like a couple hours away, so we text a lot. Or to make plans. Or just to keep in touch.
Do you feel over text messages you can portray a different side of yourself? Do you feel you're...
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, you can be more upfront almost, because you don't have to have that face-to-face interaction. It's easier to say what you kind of really want to say.
It's not as awkward.
Yeah, there's a barrier.
This can be better explained with Joseph Walter's social information processing theory. So this theory suggests that people find ways to get around the limitations of text messaging and can actually achieve the same or even greater levels of expression. So basically people find ways to use textual cues much the ways we use physical and verbal cues. In this way, people can relate emotions and detect deception. So in a romantic relationship, especially with people who know each other really well, text messaging can be used to convey all sorts of rich emotional content.
Text messaging's popularity as a means to build relationships has skyrocketed based on two reasons. The first being the ease and pervasiveness of cell phones, as individuals can stay in constant contact with one another. The second, despite traditional thinking, lies in text messages' ability to convey even more rich and complex information than face-to-face communication. Text messages allow for anonymity, less social repercussions, and the ability to edit and reflect.
That makes sense. So what about text messages at the beginning of your relationship, just say with you and your boyfriend, who's me?
So in what sense?
Like when you're at the beginning of the relationship, how did you use text messages?
Yeah. Well, we texted a lot.
More so than face-to-face?
Well, not more so than face-to-face, but if we weren't together, we were texting all the time.
So
I think it was a pretty important part of when we first started dating, so.
Did you feel you guys, or us, acted differently?
Through text messages?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Maybe not totally different, but...
What about...
Well, maybe more so ourselves.
This can also be better explained with social presence theory. According to Short, Williams, and Christie, who developed it, social presence is the sense of being with another or how real the person on the other end of the conversation is perceived to be. So according to this theory, this constant connection creates a sense of actually being with the other person that you're talking to and knowing them intimately, which allows for increased intimacy. How often do you send text messages to your significant others throughout the day?
Right now I probably send about 25 texts to my girlfriend a day at least, whether it be just to find out how her day is going, what she's doing for the evening, or even to say I love you.
Okay, so with your text messages, do you believe they are effective in maintaining relationships more on the side of romantic relationships?
Yeah, I think so. Because like when you're at work all day, you can still communicate with your partner, and I mean, it's an easy way to keep in touch if you can't talk on the phone or if you can't speak face to face.
In one study done by Sarah M. Coyne and her colleagues, they found that the most common use for text messaging was to express affection to their partner. It is likely that technology has increased the ease in which affection can be expressed, with individuals being able to text a quick "I love you" in a meeting.
Do you feel braver over text?
I do feel more brave texting because this way you don't have to say it right to someone's face and you're kind of behind a wall, an invisible wall.
This is a very important feature of the text message. A lot of researchers have found that people use the text message to explore their desires. More than 75% of university students interviewed in a study by Byrne and Findlay stated that they felt braver with text, allowing them to talk about taboo subjects, engage in innuendo and sexual wordplay, and express erotic love.
Just talk.
What about a relationship that was just built on text messages without face-to-face?
Could that thrive?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think you still need
How come?
face-to-face
So if a relationship...
to have a relationship with someone, because if you have a relationship via text messaging, it's just a relationship with your phone.
And do you feel like people might almost manipulate who they are if they haven't met face-to-face?
Mm-hmm. How much easier is it to hide through a text message or to portray yourself in a different way through a text message, because you can't read somebody's body language or their facial expression or any hidden meaning behind the text.
So you have to use text messages to build upon what you've already built.
Exactly. It's a good method of communication if you already have, in terms of relationships, if you already have, I don't want to sound cheesy, but like a connection. Like if you can already talk with that person comfortably, text messaging is a really good supplement, so to say, in terms of communication.
Oh, okay, that seems like we covered everything.
Do you think texting is more beneficial to people in serious relationships or people in the first stages of a relationship?
I think texting is more beneficial to people in a serious relationship because that way you can stay connected throughout the whole day. And also with people who are in a new relationship, I don't think that it's natural to know someone that good that quick.
So it is this phenomenon that helps us support the second part of our hypothesis, which is that it is dangerous for people to use text messages to help develop new relationships. So often people hiding behind their cell phones, they feel more comfortable, so they end up engaging in premature self-disclosure, which can put newly developing relationships in danger.
In Laura Papano's book called The Connection Gap, she essentially states, because of the rushed and unrelaxed approach to life at the present brought about by technological advances, the image of connection becomes a substitute to real relationships. She suggests that this need to be connected, coupled with our need for speed, ends up causing people that use text messages in romantic relationships to create virtual or even shallow relationships.
So basically, text messages are useful tools in building and maintaining relationships. However, they can be detrimental when used as the only medium for contact during these relationships due to a variety of reasons, including the tendency to disclose information too early, the ability to portray a completely different image of yourself, all of which can lead to a shallow and impersonal relationship.